Hi, I'm Nina Samuels, and apparently you have nothing better to do with your time, so you are listening to the Holy Shoot podcast.
Hello, he said in a radio voice, listeners. Welcome to the Holy Shoot podcast. Hosting this week, it's the AEW to Brod's WWE. It's the Jason Norris experience. And at the moment, I am joined by the Impact Wrestling to my AEW. It's Sam, the New Japan man. Sam?
Hello. You know, maybe a couple of years ago, I'd have been offended by that comparison, but Impact Stocks, actually, it's not bad. It's not bad anymore. So I'll take that.
There's me trying to make a dig for see, Brod's not with us at the minute, so I thought I'd make a dig about Impact Wrestling because he normally stands up for it.
He does. Oh no, I watched Slammiversary, and I might be converting over to Brod's position on Impact. It used to be real shit, not so shit anymore.
Well, Brod will be joining us later to talk about other things that not Impact. But Sam, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a really, really busy week. I'm incredibly tired because I made the terrible decision of trying to stay up to watch Fighter Fest. Was it Fighter Fest? Yeah, on Saturday. And then get up at 7:30 in the morning to watch the G1, which was very silly. I should have just picked one company and stuck with it. How about you? How's your week been?
I've not been able to watch all the wrestling I would like because I've had this thing called a job that's kept me really busy at the moment, which has been annoying. Unfortunately, a very busy time for the company I work for has meant I've not been able to enjoy all the wrestling I would like, but it's okay, I guess. I think talking about wrestling, so I think for most people it kicked off, I guess, this weekend, like you had the G1 and all the big companies, but our wrestling week, I guess we're recording this, it's just under a week ago. Our wrestling week started on Thursday. Where we went to the Heather Vandenberg book launch for Unladylike, and that's where we met Nina Samuels, who people may have recognised from the new intro, where we asked her nicely to say how great our pod is, and she instead insulted us, but it still sounds
very
good
rude.
At the start of the pod.
Yeah. Very rude match, but yeah, that's one of the best things about going to the Resistance Gallery is sometimes there's just wrestlers working the bar. I've been served by Jimmy Havoc there before as well, which is strange. I wasn't sure whether he was going to give me my drink or smash the bottle on the bar and then cut me up with it. It was hard to tell.
I think we joked, like, if they had a cocktail like at the bar that was called, like, I don't know, Jimmy's Meat Cleaver or something, you'd be worried about if you were getting a drink or actually attacked.
Well, yeah, exactly, indeed.
So yeah, that was a good event. Yeah, I think we said a few times, it's worth checking out the book. She's easy enough to find, Heather Vandenberg, Unladylike, and it's a very cool read. I think you picked up a copy and had Heather sign it while we were there.
Been reading it this week. It's a very, very, very good book, and the book launch was really great as well. I feel like I have to give a special mention to a tag team that stuck out for me, and I think everyone else. Don't know if they'll ever perform again, but Big Dick Energy, worth mentioning. Two very good people.
It's hard to describe it. I mean, that's the fun. If you've never been to like an independent wrestling event, it's hard to explain, never mind an independent wrestling event at the Resistance Gallery. But Big Dick Energy are very, very chauvinistic, considering they're in an all-women's wrestling like match. It's a bit of it's a hard one to. I don't want to ruin it for people, but it's not what you expect. It's not what you're thinking, and they told a great story.
They did, yeah. If we gave more details than that, it would give it away. But yeah, it was completely unexpected. The wrestling, obviously, maybe not the highest standard. You ain't going to get a Will Ospreay match at an event like that, but it doesn't really matter because you're so close, you get so drawn into the story and stuff that, yeah, you just end up popping for like a leg drop or something, and it's fine.
So we had that, like I said, in this G1. There's a lot going on. I mean, we've been like busy, sexy beasts, and speaking of beasts, we'll be get into that later on with Brod. So that's like a little tip to what's going on. But yeah, this week, so after the break, we'll be doing a little chat where Sam, as our G1 expert, will be talking all about that. I'll be giving some thoughts because I sat down and watched the Evolve show on the WWE Network. And then in the late night portion of the show, Brod will be joining us to get Extreme and talk about Extreme Rules and Fighter Fest. Having watched Extreme Rules with Brod already, I think we're bound to disagree on a few things, and that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. So
yeah, that's fair.
That will come to fruition later. So we'll be back after this break to get into the G1.
Hooray!
So in this first portion of the show, we're going to start talking about the G1. Now, I'm already lost on the G1. Sam, you're trying to watch all of it. I'm trying to keep up to date, but I know I've not really been following it like you have. Overall thoughts on the G1 so far, considering we are recording this before the Thursday morning / evening or whatever time it is in Japan for that event.
So we're only 2 nights into each block, so there've been 4 shows in total, but already like the predictions that I made have gone completely out of the window. Some major upsets even on the first night, like Kenta beating Kota Ibushi. I don't know if anyone really saw that coming. And Bad Luck Fale beating Evil of all people on the opening night, and Zack Sabre Jr. going down to Sanada. All things that I had not predicted at all, and yet here we are. But I think actually for me, the thing that's made stuck out the most is Lance Archer. I think we shat on him quite a lot in the G1 preview episode, or I did certainly, and I have done in the past, because he's been quite a one-dimensional, fairly boring wrestler in a tag team with Davey Boy Smith Jr. called Killer Elite Squad. Davey Boy Smith Jr. has left New Japan now. I don't know where he's gone to work, actually. Nobody knows. But yeah, Lance Archer's in the G1 on his own. It turns out he's actually really, really, really good at wrestling. The match he had with Will Ospreay, and I know it was with Will Ospreay, was like a potential match of the year candidate. Absolutely excellent. And then his match with Bad Luck Fale, of all people. If I was watching the G1 as a casual viewer, I would have skipped that match. And I'm actually glad that I tried to do it the hardcore way this year and kind of force myself to sit through it. Because, yeah, very, very impressive. So I knew there would be a breakout star from this tournament. Didn't expect it to be Lance Archer.
Yeah, I'm looking at Block A looks the most interesting to me, just from the guys that I know not being as clued up in New Japan. And Lance Archer, I knew of him. I've seen him before. It's a surprise. I'm interested because him and Kenta and Okada are leading Block A after the 2 events, each with 4 points. But the 2 guys I expected to be really at the top of this at the end are Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr., both on 0.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not so familiar with the G1 booking. Does this often happen? I'd imagine they want to have a mountain to climb for top guys sometimes.
Yeah, but it's normally rare for the loser to lose more than one match. The winner of the block to lose more than one match. Normally they go on kind of a tear and then they only lose to 1 or 2 guys. So sometimes it'll be they go through all of the legitimate contenders and then maybe they drop a match to Toru Yano because he's a dirty cheater or whatever. It's extremely uncommon and unheard of to have people be this out of, I guess, what you might call their expected position. I mean, both of the winners of the last year's blocks, Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi, are both on 0 points. They haven't won any matches yet. Naito also has lost both of his matches, which is, again, I have Naito in the prediction as going on a tear and not dropping a single match in all the blocks. Let's
get to, we'll talk about Block B in a bit more detail in a minute as well, in terms of what's going on there, because, there's some surprises there as well. I guess in Block A, in the preview, I was saying, Kenta, is he going to be any good? Or is he going to actually step up, or is he going to be like he's been for the last couple of years in WWE? But there he is, having 2 great matches already and joint top of his group. It's a surprise, So he's beaten Ibushi and Tanahashi, 2 guys you'd expect to be competing.
Last year's winner, Tanahashi.
I think the winner, and we were predicting that Ibushi could win the whole thing. And both lost to Kenta.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought they set up a really cool storyline between him and Tanahashi after their match, which was legitimately a barnstormer. It wasn't even the main event on that night, I don't think. Oh, no, sorry. Yes, it was. But yeah, angle after the match. I don't know if you saw it, where Kenta went to shake Tanahashi's hand, and Tanahashi was like, "Nah, you haven't earned this yet," and walks away. So then the following day in the undercard tag match, Tanahashi and Kenta had to team up, and there was like a hot tag moment where Kenta was running back to his corner, sees Tanahashi's the guy there, and then doesn't tag him in and carries on fighting instead. So there's some cool tension there, and a cool story: the Ace of Noah versus the Ace of New Japan. You know?
Okay, I mean, I guess they've had their match. It's hard to see how this could build out from this. I don't know if they could do it in undercard matches as well, like in terms of those tag matches going forward, but they could be building something there for the future as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So there's some good stuff there. I mean, but Zack Sabre, why is he not winning?
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I don't understand. I feel like they might be doing some kind of big redemption storyline with him, maybe later on. He has been losing, but he still had consistently great matches. His match with Sanada was excellent. The moment when Sanada put him in the Paradise Lock, if you don't know, the Paradise Lock is kind of like where you make someone go into the fetal position, but like on their knees instead of on their side. And then because of how you've tangled them up, they can't move. Obviously,
if you've not seen it in New Japan, like Jack Gallagher's done a very similar thing in NXT and in 205 Live, where it's a similar tie them up and then kick them in the arse type thing.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of move. It's very cool. Zack Sabre Jr. very unhappy about being put in the Paradise Lock. And then also losing out to Okada, who he's previously beaten in the New Japan Cup last year, and he came very close to beating him in their special singles match for the title, which was at a show I can't remember the name of in the first half of last year.
So surprising that match, Okada Zack Sabre, one of the shorter matches so far at 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was very short. It was a very hard-hitting kind of aggressive match, I think. But yeah, I'm surprised. So especially because he was hyping up, I'm going to beat Okada in this block, and then I'm going to go on to to beat him at Royal Quest in London for the belt. So then, because I thought, that's definitely happening. It's a very Gedo thing to like signpost something obvious and then have it happen that way. And he hasn't. I thought he might actually pin Okada in the undercard tag the following day, but that didn't happen either. They got soundly beaten, him and Minoru Suzuki. So yeah, it's surprising. I don't know what's happening for Zack.
Maybe Vince Russo has been signed to help with creative for Godo, hence it's going the opposite of what you expect.
Oh yeah, maybe. You
got to swerve the crowd. Maybe that's what's going on.
His backstage promo after the Okada match was very, very good. He just basically threw a big like childish tantrum, falling on the floor, pulling the set down and stuff. But there's one part where he like goes to throw himself backwards and then smacks his head on the wall behind him and just starts shit talking the wall as well, which is quite good. So yeah, if you're watching the G1 and you don't check their YouTube channel, I would advise you to do so, because there's lots of good backstage kind of storytelling and feud building and stuff there as well.
And in terms of the other thing for me, I was asking about Will Ospreay. I think he's skipped out some undercard matches already this week. Have they confirmed if he's back for his next match? Because he's the one I want to see wrestle all the time, and he's won one and lost one so far.
Yes, he beat Sanada in an excellent match. I think he's beaten Sanada before, so it made sense that he would. But I think he's going to do better than a lot of juniors. You're right, though. He was announced he's injured his neck, I think, but it's not
neck injury.
It's not a skeletal injury, and there was something else that they said it's not either. So it's like one that he's expected to recover from, which means I think he'll probably be back in the tournament. The other thing, and maybe you could look at this as a negative in this age of kind of caring about wrestlers when they do matches, the G1 tradition is to kind of, if you're a bit injured, is to soldier on anyway and then work it into the story of your match. Like, maybe not change the results, but it'll be part of the match. For example, Kota Ibushi's injured his ankle, and in his match with Evil, that was the story. Evil's just going after the ankle constantly. Kota Ibushi can't stand on it. He can't hit a lot of his moves because he can't put his weight on his ankle. So I think they'll probably do something similar for Ospreay. I mean, Ospreay's also not a human man, so he might just be fine come Thursday.
And just sort of referencing something funny while you're saying that, so Ospreay for people I don't know, actually got going in the London School of Lucha Libre, training at the Resistance Gallery. So the man we're talking about now has been in the same ring as Big Dick Energy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know
That's
that?
really
That's where it got
cool.
started, yeah. You haven't got to that part of Heather's book yet. She talks about that at some point.
Yeah, no, I haven't. No, I didn't know that. That Will Ospreay started off in the Humble Resistance Gallery. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know him and Paul Robinson used to do a lot of backyard stuff as well. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know about the Resgal, the formal training.
In terms of Block A, we haven't talked about, I guess, the other big name was like Okada. He's just soldiering on, winning both his matches, as we say, against Tanahashi and Zack Sabre. So he's still up there to be champion and winner at this rate.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking this is kind of a redemption storyline for him in the G1, because last year he went a bit crazy because he lost the belt to Kenny at Dominion just before the G1 tournament, and then he people call that phase of Okada's career Balloons Okada. He's coming to the ring with with inflatable balloons and giving them out to people. He stopped wearing the trousers. He stopped coming to the ring with his jacket on. It was when Gedo had abandoned him as well. And he's like trying to do all these weird things to make people like him. And he lost loads of quite easy matches last year that he shouldn't have done. So I could see this year being like he's back. This is full on Raidmaker Okada, going on a tear up and down A block. Actually, the G1 winner has never won. The current heavyweight champion has never won the G1 in all of its history. So people don't actually know what will happen if he wins. Does he just get to pick his own opponent for Wrestle Kingdom? Does he just wrestle himself?
He wrestles himself, surely.
Yeah, of course. It's a very easy title defense for him.
He might have to pin himself and lose the belt to himself.
You never know how they're gonna do this. But I actually think this could be the year that they pull the trigger on doing that. I mean, people always say this when they're talking about New Japan, but it would be a really good way of cementing Okada's, I think this is his third reign with the belt, as like the dominant and new ace of New Japan. That he couldn't beat Tanahashi last year. This year he's going to win the whole thing.
Cool. Well, I think that covers Block A. We don't want to go into too much detail on match predictions or anything, because depending on where we hear this, there's such a churn of matches. We wanted to talk more about the overall trend at this point. So, moving over to Block B. So, also two people we thought might be winning this: Naito and Jay White, both on 0 points after 3 matches. Moxley up at the top on 4. I know less about a lot of the guys outside of that in Block B, but how's Block B going?
I've been possibly enjoying Block B a bit more than Block A, actually. Partly because Jon Moxley is great, and I'm really enjoying his little storyline with Shota Umino, who is actually Red Shoes' son.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Red Shoes' son. And a young lion. Moxley's now named him Shooter, and he brings him into all his backstage promos. Jon Moxley, like Dean Ambrose, is doing the entrance through the crowd as well. He comes in all badass posing, and then Shota's just kind of scuttling along behind him, carrying the championship belt. It's a storyline I like quite a lot. They're in the undercard tag together as well. I think I said on Monday at the meetup when I was talking to a few guys there about the G1, I'm putting my money down now that Shota Umino's excursion, because if you don't know about the Young Lion system, they do a bit of training in New Japan, and then once they've developed enough that they can start building their own character, they go and work for another company in another country. So some guys go to CMLL, some guys go to American companies, other guys come and wrestle in the UK.
I mean, as an example, didn't Okada go to Impact or TNA back in the day, and was like, when no one knew who he was, and they just didn't really use him at all?
They didn't use him at all, yes. And Okada went to Impact. Naito went to CMLL, which is when he became the Ingubernable, or he got into Los Ingobernables that way. And I reckon Shota Umino is going to AEW for his excursion. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be a company that New Japan has a relationship with either. It could be anywhere. Like Great O'Khan's, you might have seen on some cards in the UK, Shigehiro Irie. He's a...
Oh, yeah, right. I didn't realise he was in the excursion.
Yeah, that's his excursion. Yeah. So it could be AEW. I wouldn't be surprised given the foreshadowing of this Shooter storyline, which I'm enjoying a lot. But in terms of actual wrestling, again, lots of massive upsets in this block. On night 1, Toru Yano beat Tetsuya Naito, who I had predicted to smash the entire block in like a ridiculous match.
Yeah, under 4 minutes. Was it the low blow typical finish of Yano, right?
Yeah, so it was under 4 minutes, but the kind of lead up to the match added about 10 minutes on, because Naito was playing mind games with Yano originally, like taking ages to take his suit off, and like when the referee was about to call for the bell, he was sliding out of the ring and things like that, like deliberately kind of trying to do what Yano was doing to him, but it didn't work. Obviously, if you're going to go into a bullshit match against the king of bullshit, you're going to lose. You can't beat Toru Yano at shenanigans. He's the king. You just have to beat the crap out of him. He's not very good at coming back from that. So, yeah, that was a bit of an upset. And then the main event of that night, an absolute stormer, Jay White versus Hiroki Goto. If you're more of a fan of Western wrestling and you don't know who those guys are, I would say definitely check out that match. Hiroki Goto is like kind of an old hand at New Japan, and he can still go, and it shows. He's been training at the LA dojo with the new young lions there, and yeah, that match against Jay White was an absolute stormer. Nobody thought he'd do it, and he did.
Yeah, and another upset there with Goto winning.
Yeah.
Part of this several upsets we've seen in the early rounds.
And then on the second night, another big notable upset was Naito going down to Taichi, of all people. And now, you may remember from the preview, I was talking about Taichi having the magic glove with the evil spirit in it.
Oh, yes.
He's teased using it in loads of matches, but in this one, it finally came out. He beat Naito by giving him a strike with the glove and then knocking him down. And then after the match, he was kind of unwilling to put it back in its bag. At one point it fell out and he sold it like it didn't want to go back in there. And then in the post-match interview, he was talking about how he could feel the spirit of Takashi Iizuka in the glove and stuff like this. So I reckon, yeah, we're going to see more glove as the story goes on and more madness from Taichi. So that should be a bit of a different story than you're kind of used to with New Japan, but still a very exciting one. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
It does intrigue me the way you've described this to me.
Yeah.
The man of this storyline and how it's going to play into the G1. Crazy. Moxley, 2 wins so far, both under 10 minutes, looking quite dominating, I guess, but he's not had a major challenge yet.
No. So the match against Taichi was a good match, and it was kind of like they sold it like Moxley had gone in quite arrogantly, and then Taichi had surprised him by attacking him outside the ring before the match started, and then it allowed them to introduce lots of trash basically into the match, which obviously Moxley is possibly one of the best people for kind of, when I say trash wrestling, I mean like getting all the tables and the chairs and stuff out and using them in a way where it's not gratuitous, it's just violent, and that's really cool. I actually thought his match with Jeff Cobb was a bit disappointing. It wasn't a bad match, but like Jeff Cobb's match with Ishii the night before was an absolute stormer. Jeff Cobb is legitimately really good, but it looked like neither of them, they were both either a bit scared or they weren't fully committing to things, or they didn't quite gel right. There was a lot of there was like a double clothesline spot where they just like gently tapped each other with their forearms, and then they both took a bump and it looked a bit weird. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe there was some other factor that was affecting why that match wasn't as good as it could have been, but it looked like, yeah, maybe they were ill or something.
So, I mean, any other thoughts from you on Block B, like so far, or things we should be looking out?
Tomohiro Ishii is going to fucking win it. I'm calling it now. This is Ishii's year. He's looked like an absolute dominant beast, and he went over Jeff Cobb and Jay White in the first 2 days. That's actually genuinely, if I could change my prediction, I would. I think Ishii's going to take the whole thing. I think this could be his year. He's capable of doing main events. It's time they pulled the trigger on big time Ishii.
I'm surprised because he's 43 years old. He's got to be one of the older men in the tournament. I feel like he's never been at the very top. He's always just been a beast.
No, he hasn't. But Tanahashi's not much than him. I'm just googling his age now. 42. He won the belt last year. So this could be it. Maybe he won't win the belt, but I could see him having a main event, kind of a big main event level title shot, for sure.
It'd be impressive to see that the Pitbull, right?
Yeah, the Stone Pitbull. I mean, on star ratings, he is actually the best wrestler in the world. He doesn't ever get a 6 or a 7 star, but he's like a consistent 5-star match person. Look on Cage Match at his records. He's got loads. He's very good at wrestling.
He is a beast.
He is.
This tournament continues. So you're picking who's your Block A winner? Latest thoughts on who's winning Block A?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Can you imagine
Especially
Lance
given
Archer versus Ishii in the final?
Well, yeah, exactly. But again, that is a match that I would have been like, who cares about that? If you'd asked me about it 2 weeks ago. But like, actually, that might be one I'd be quite excited to see. Because, yeah, Lance Archer's not as terrible as I was expecting. But I think Block A could maybe be Kenta in the final. If they want to push him, make him look really dominant. He's gone over last year's winner and he's gone over last year's winner of the whole thing and his block. And he's gone over the winner of the other block, who was also in the final last year, Ibushi. So, yeah, he's already beaten last year's kind of top two. He could go on to have a bit of a tear.
Okay. So you're an updated potential winner of Block A is Kenta, and Block B, are you going for Ishii?
Yeah, why not? Kenta versus Ishii in the final. That would be like a match of very, very, very stiff strikes.
That would be very unexpected. I think I'd enjoy that. It's a very different size of the two guys as well, but that'd be
cool. Indeed, yeah.
Cool. So I think that wraps up our latest on the G1. Unless there's anything else you wanted to cover, cool. I think we've covered that. Like I say, it's ongoing. There'll probably be a day 5 or round 3, however you want to describe it, by the time this show comes out. And then there's several more over the weekend as well. So, I think we'll have to do a check-in every week where Sam tries to keep us up to date with G1.
It's going to be hard. Yeah, we're at Korakuen Hall this weekend, so should be some big matches there.
Cool. Right, after this short break, Sam will get the chance to talk to me about the Evolve show that I watched instead of any of the other wrestling that was going on up until Sunday. Cool. Back in a second.
Hey, you. If you like the podcast, then remember to like the Holy Shoot Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Holy Shoot Pod. Do it! Do it now!
So, welcome back after the break. We are now moving on to discussing the Evolve show, which was broadcast live controversially on the WWE network this weekend, going head-to-head with Fyter Fest, of course. The beauty of watching on demand, though, is you can watch both, which is what Jason did. So, that's who I'm going to be talking to today, because I didn't have time to watch it. So, Jason, what are your overall thoughts on this quite historic show?
It was a strange one. I've never seen an Evolve show before. And, okay, just because I don't really know anyone who's in Evolve. I just know a lot of guys had come from Evolve, so I thought I'd check it out. It was very clearly like an indie show. It made me think, because a little while ago we went back and watched the first NXT TakeOver, the very original one.
Yeah.
And it was closer to that, probably, in terms of like production and like formatting, probably more like that than what you'd be seeing in NXT now. It very much felt a bit like developmental for NXT, if that's a way to think about it, because NXT has evolved so much over time. It was generally enjoyable. It's hard to get really invested when you don't know who a lot of the guys are, but there were some good matches and things that stood out.
Oh, okay, cool. So what I was going to ask is, because obviously I'm a big fan of Progress, and they're in kind of a similar position with their relationship with the WWE to Evolve. I've always thought of Evolve as basically being an American Progress. How fair is that comparison as companies? Are they very similar?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair comparison, I think, just thinking about the type of roster they've got, the fact they can be a bit more edgy. I think a few people that I know have talked about the fact that this feels like it was similar to Progress for them in terms of watching this show. So definitely, I can definitely see that, and you can see like these are the kind of guys that WWE wants to work with, because it's a great place to like source talent or like have some talent training in.
Okay, so speaking of sourcing talent, something I have noticed about this card is that, or just from reading the matches, almost every match has someone from NXT or from 205 Live in it. Some of them only feature NXT and 205 Live people. So did it feel a bit like they were padding out the card with these guys, or do you think they fit into the show quite well?
Not really, 'cause a lot of the NXT guys featured. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, outside of, like, I guess Adam Cole and Matt Riddle, there were some NXT guys, but they've been guys that aren't the names. They're guys that have appeared on the show or that have been on it before or just lost a couple of matches. They weren't all like the big stars that are established NXT guys. It's guys that you can imagine are trying to make the step up from Evolve into NXT, and then maybe they're not quite featured yet. So, and I think that's something. There were several names of it. Is it Baba Tuin was one of the guys? I think I pronounced that right. Is it Sean Maluta? Like, there's a few names, and Brandy Lauren has been on the show before, but some of them had like one match on NXT. They've been used as, like, I guess, lower card or jobbers as well.
Okay, so it made sense. I mean, I'm guessing, I know Matt Riddle was an Evolve guy, wasn't he? And so it does make sense for him to be on the show.
Yeah, and that was quite good. It was Matt Riddle and Drew Gulak who were actually in a faction called Catch Point when they were in Evolve, and it was about basically wrestlers. They were like the wrestling faction, and they used to actually be.
Oh, I quite like that.
So they were having this match and was like a reunion against each other. And like Matt Riddle had chosen a guy called Kurt Stallion to then be his opponent for the following night, but came out with him. So they were trying to like help build people up a little bit at the same time.
Oh, that's cool. So it wasn't like just a cynical kind of NXT showcase then. They were there to put over or build the Evolve talent.
Yeah, and they were like, and then like Adam Cole and Akira Tozawa, they were both former Evolve talent. I think Tozawa actually was in Dragon Gate USA, which then became Evolve. So they were bringing like legacy guys back. It wasn't just let's throw someone on the show. It's never actually been in Evolve. It was.
Oh, that's cool. And the other thing I'm noticing about this card is that it looks like there was a lot of stipulations. Is that the case, or is it just like the opening match is listed as a special attraction match here between Josh Briggs and Anthony Green with Brandy Lauren?
It's funny,
was that
actually.
just?
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, now that I'm looking through the list, like the first match was, I guess, it's more like a future is now showcase. It wasn't like there was any real stipulation. It was just, I think it's like Progress does these tournaments where they want to highlight a certain young talent. They sort of put them in the final of a tournament of like, I can't remember what the Progress guys call it, but it's something similar, really, just in terms of showcase matches.
It's a logical progression, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So it was just a normal match, really, and Josh Briggs is a decent sized guy. I think their billing was like 6'6" or something, and 270 pounds. That felt like that was inflated in terms of height and weight.
Oh yeah.
But when you're on like non-WWE shows, when the talent's a bit smaller, you can probably get away with that. So there was that. Then the Photo 4-way was just like a normal 4-way. The grudge match actually between I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Like, is it Arturo?
Babatunde.
No, the grudge match was,
the grudge match
was Anthony Henry, who I was really, really impressed with, and he was against Arturo Ruas, and that was more like an MMA match. Brilliant. We should definitely go back to that.
Oh, okay.
The women's no DQ match, that was definitely no DQ, and then after that it became a bit more sensible, I guess.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's cool. You don't often get. Well, I mean, you do now in 2019, but it still feels like rare to have a proper women's no DQ match where they don't kind of mess around with the stipulation.
Yeah,
they just do a no DQ match.
It was a bit silly, really. I mean, it was a weird match. I think Blackheart is clearly talented. She actually had a run in NXT before, and Triple H apparently was a big fan. But she failed some medical, some sort of heart complication, a heart issue, which meant that she couldn't pass their medicals. And they said she could go back one day if she gets that sorted out. So she might one day make it back to NXT. But that gives you an idea of her talent. Brandy Lauren, she was a manager ringside in the first match. The future is now showcased. I think she's a better manager. She was good at ringside, knowing where the hard cam was, reacting, emoting, for lack of a better word. She was very good at adding to the first match. Not so good in the ring. They had another female talent whose name escapes me come out and basically helped Brandy Lauren beat up, and it basically became a handicap match, this match. And the thing that stood out is that basically Blackheart took a really nasty boot to the face at the start of the match, which got her right in the nose and mouth, and there was blood pretty early in the match coming out of her mouth because of that. And then later on, she took a very hard dive to the outside of the ring and landed on a load of chairs. So there was like some, and then there was some good, like there were some weapon shots. It was quite a hardcore, like no DQ match for the women in this one. But Blackheart looked good.
I think I might have actually seen a gif of that dive into the chairs, and it did look really brutal.
Blackheart did need help leaving. Hopefully she's okay and it was nothing serious.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So obviously Blackheart impressed you. Was there anyone else on the card you think is one to watch for the future?
Anthony Henry. I tried looking him up a bit more. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. That shows you how little there must be about this guy. But he's probably better known in certain circles. But yeah, this was a grudge match, but it was really it was like watching two guys do an MMA match in a wrestling ring. They were both really like working hard against each other in terms of the holds and the strikes. I'd recommend going back and watching this one of probably any match on the show, just because it stood out to me the most. But both guys were trying really hard. And Anthony Henry, they had like a video package before the match. He came across really well. He's got a good look. I think he's only about 190 pounds, so he's smallish guy. But you could see him being. He'd be like the modern day Dean Malenko in like the cruiserweight division, but rather than being all about work submissions, it'd be MMA type moves instead. I really enjoyed that match.
Oh, nice. So it was a bit like have you ever seen any of the Bloodsport shows that they do around WrestleMania? I think it's previously been Matt Riddle's.
Yeah, I know Matt Riddle's been in them, so yeah, you can imagine that kind of style going on. Really, that kind of
like work shoot kind of style. I quite like that.
There was there was lots of sudden waist takedowns and things like that, and scissor, mid scissors and all these kind of things going on to just try and get each other down on the ground, and then like the strikes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's a style of wrestling that you don't really. Yeah. It's not really on any of the big shows.
That's why I think it stood out really, when they were doing this, and that's why I got into that probably more than any match, just because I got drawn in by the opening promo, and then the actual quality of wrestling being a bit different, and just high quality was really good. So that stood out. So talking about Matt Riddle, him and Drew Gulak, that was an enjoyable match as well. And it's good to see Drew Gulak get to do proper wrestling with someone that can keep up with him, and Matt Riddle likewise.
Yeah, that's a match where it's one of those matches you wouldn't think about it, but on hearing it, I mean, obviously Evolve fans already know that match is probably going to be a great one, but I didn't. And yeah, if someone said, oh yeah, Matt Riddle versus Drew Gulak's on the card tonight, I'd be excited about that match.
Yeah, I think. I mean, and it's just because I knew who these guys were as well, so that helps. I mean, when it came to the grudge match, like Anthony Henry and Ruiz, I didn't know who either of them were, so it was a bit harder to get into it. But that's probably why I'm more impressed with it, because it was about 10 minutes, and it was the one match I was trying to do other things, but that's the one match I remember I paid attention to the whole thing, basically.
Oh, okay, cool.
Attention.
That is high praise.
Yeah, and like I said, it was a fun overall show. Paul Heyman came out before the winner takes all match for the WWN and the Evolve Championships. I've got no idea what kind of working relationship these guys have, but it's just fun to combine the two belts, because you end up having indie talent that can work both shows. I don't know, but it was hard to get into some of those kind of things. But overall, fun show. Definitely not as crisp as you would expect, but it was like an indie type level show. Paul Heyman came out before that match, like I was saying, and did a good little promo to hype it all up. It was very much. But the crowd is very much like a Progress crowd we've been to, where they're all really into everything. Oh,
that's cool. That's why I like Progress, really. So it's cool then that there's an American promoter that manages to kind of evoke that spirit as well. So I guess that unification match might have had a bit more impact with you if you'd known either of the companies involved in it in advance.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was hard to really invest in some of this stuff.
That's an odd one, though. Two completely separate indie companies having a unification match. Was there a clear winner in the match as well?
Yeah, Austin Theory defended the Evolve belt and also won the WWN belt. So
yeah,
I don't know where they go from that. I just been reading online. A lot of people I'd never watched the show before. A lot of the sites doing the reviews are I don't know what this means. It's
yeah. No, that's exactly it. Are they warring? Is this similar to Rev Pro versus Progress unification match, which is something you'd never want to see, or is it? Or you'd never want to. You would just never see, or is it like a SmackDown versus Raw type situation? Kind of.
Hard to know. I mean, I'm sure there might be one person listening to this who could probably saying, I know all of that and I'll explain it. But like I say, the majority of people listening to this and probably watched it had never seen most of the guys on this roster before or knew much about it and were checking it out for curiosity's sake.
Well, I mean, if you do know the story, get at us on Twitter, because we don't, and I think I quite like to. So how was the overall kind of production levels of this show? Because obviously indie shows can sometimes be a bit shaky. I know Progress is kind of intentionally a bit shaky in their production.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's pretty good. They had some good video packages and promo packages. There was a few like weird moments of, okay, let's show the rampway. So the guys that just had a match are walking up the rampway. But let's show the sort of mini Titantron we've got for ages while they're leaving, while we wait to cut to a video package, rather than doing something a bit slicker or going to the announcers, for example. They didn't have that slickness. It was like, oh, we're just showing the rampway. And also you can see that all the fans aren't really behind any sort of barricade. They're just sort of sat there in rows. So they were sort of like in the camera as well. So it was a little things there, but like very, very much it's what you expect. It was a well put together independent show, and you would not expect it to be WWE level, but they put together some good video packages. And it all sounded good. There wasn't anything where I was like, oh god, this sounds awful. You can't hear the crowd. The announcers were cut out. They put together a solid overall presentation for the budget they probably had.
Oh, that's cool then. So no obvious production botches or
I think they cut one video off short at one point and went to a match because I think they really had the timing wrong. That was about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what timing a wrestling show is like and how much it must be being a floor manager, so fair enough.
And it ended with Johnny Gargano coming out, like basically challenging Adam Cole, who left, and then Johnny and Tozawa just in the ring, basically celebrating and telling everyone how great Evolve is.
Oh, okay, cool. So Cole beat Tozawa then.
Yes, so that was I figured that was just a taken for granted, but you're right. I should have
yes,
Adam Cole did not lose the NXT Championship
to
Akira Tozawa on an Evolve show.
I'm not that surprised about that, to be honest.
Yeah, but if you wanted to go back and watch it, it's worth just checking out like the intro, but I guess just understand a bit more about Evolve. And my one match was the grudge match, but I think some people would enjoy the whole thing. It's just being aware that you won't know who most of the people are, which sometimes makes it. I think if we were watching it like a live, like when we go to live shows and you don't know who someone is, you can get into it more because you're there live and you'll just work out you're the face, you're the heel, I will cheer. When you're watching at home, it's not the same.
Yeah, that's true. So how did the commentary not do kind of a good job of putting over who was who? Or
they did. I think they did pretty good. It's still like it's hard to invest where the commentators are telling you about something. And I think AEW, even Double or Nothing, had the same thing where it's like, okay, this is a really good match, but you're trying to tell me who these people are, and I've got no idea who they are.
Yeah, I guess without kind of repeated viewing or repeated exposure, then you're just not going to have the kind of same emotional connection, are you? So that makes sense. But it's cool that the commentary was still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, worth checking out if you want something different. But there was so much wrestling going on this weekend. This was definitely not the show you had to see.
Cool. And so if there was one match to pick out of all of them to watch, you'd say it's the grudge match.
Yeah, just because it was something different, really. That you won't see that match on any of the other shows.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'll probably check that out then. Because, you're right. Like you say, there's so much wrestling. And so, you've got to make decisions about what you can watch because people can only watch so much.
Yeah. Cool. I think that covers G1 and Evolve. So
yes.
Busy. So next up will be, I don't know if we'll be doing Extreme Rules or Fyter Fest. I guess that'll be coming down to Extreme Broad to make that decision.
Yes, he's going to be Extreme Broad this time rather than just regular Broad. Or is he always Extreme Broad?
I don't know. I hope he's going to be more extreme either way.
Well, exciting. I look forward to hearing it.
So back after this break.
This podcast is affiliated with the WWL Meetup Group. WWL, or Watch Wrestling London, get together with many fans to watch pay-per-view replays on Monday nights and attend live events across London, be it WWE, Progress, Rev Pro, Eve, and many more. It's a great way to watch wrestling with friendly people and all are welcome to join. You can find out more at watchwrestling.london or just Google Watch Wrestling London and you'll find the meetup page.
So welcome back, everyone. Jason's still here, but I've had to tuck Sam up into bed so that he can carry on with his epic G1 marathon that he's having to do in the early hours. But that means we are into the extreme part of the show, which means we have unboxed Brod. Brod, how are you?
Fuck you.
Extreme Raw.
Sorry. I thought I'd go with the Extreme. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm really good. It's been a nice sunny week. Can't complain.
Good. So Sam and I did all the small talk banter already. We covered G1 and Evolve, so we can go straight into the meat that is Extreme Rules.
Very indeed.
Right. So I guess context, everyone. I did watch this with Brod on Monday, but due to stupid real life stuff like work, I missed the first half of the show, which I've since gone back and watched, so I'm up to date. But Brod, you watched the whole thing, I guess, replayed in the correct order. What's your overall thought on the show?
So yeah, I watched the whole thing there and then on the Monday night, and so I came out of it pretty negative, if I'm honest, to start with. I was like, that's a C minus shy. I think the problem was that I wasn't really invested in any of the storylines heading into Extreme Rules. I think it's the least invested I've been in WWE product since about 2010 when I stopped watching. However, looking back on it, and I still need to rewatch it, I think, at some point, I really couldn't think of an out-and-out bad match on the card. I was thoroughly entertained by the main event. I was thoroughly entertained by the opener, which was Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Drew McIntyre, Shane McMahon. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley was really fun. On the whole, on the SmackDown Tag Team title match, it was also really good. So on the whole, yeah, I think it was actually a pretty good show, and I'm not sure what I was negative about, if I'm being brutally honest.
Okay, let's just start. I guess did you watch the pre-show?
No, I didn't. I wish I did, just for the Nakamura Balor match.
Yeah,
but
so I did manage to watch this live, I guess, before going to bed on Sunday night in the UK. And I think that may be what set me off on a sour note for the whole show, because Finn Balor lost the belt to Nakamura in just about 8 minutes. It wasn't the best match. It was okay. But I was like, another example of a very short title reign for the secondary belts. I can't remember the last significant title reign that someone had at IC or US level, and I just didn't see why they were taking it up with Finn already. It seems like they've probably got some other plans for him based on what happened on Raw. But that just set me off, I guess, on the wrong note before then watching the rest of the show. So
yeah, I mean, at the time it was like, Nakamura kind of out of nowhere. And now with the reports with Balor, potentially taking time off SummerSlam, I assume he's going to lose to Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. It kind of all makes sense if that time off's been approved to take the Intercontinental Championship off of him. On the flip side, if he hasn't been given that time off, I think it could be a form of punishment. So either way, hindsight being what it is, it made sense to change the title around this point.
Yeah, and I think it just tied into I'm sick of short reigns for these level belts. I'm not going to go for don't want to go for every single match on the show, but so what did you have as your actual favourite match? Were you saying, was it the SmackDown tags or something else?
So I'm going to be honest, I love the last man standing match between Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. It's my type of match. It's covers what this pay-per-view should be, which is extreme. B, I was thoroughly sports entertained. This is WWE being its WWE best. You get two heavyweights who are never going to have a 5-star technical classic. So what are you going to do? You're going to play up to their strengths. I'm not sure if this is Paul Heyman booking or Vince McMahon booking, but whoever booked this, whichever agents designed this match, they put on a really fun show. Yeah, I really enjoyed these two. I enjoyed the ending. It was dumb, in a great way. And Strowman is dumb, Strowman is enjoyably dumb. And this was 2017 Braun Strowman, pre-Crown Jewel Braun Strowman. This is a Braun Strowman we know and love. This is the best use of Bobby Lashley I've seen since he's been called back to Raw. So yeah, I think this was absolutely fantastic match. Great fun.
I think my favourite on this card, looking back over it, was probably the SmackDown tag title match. I think I enjoyed that the most. I think that's the one I had the most fun watching.
I think that was really fun. I think they missed an opportunity to put it on Heavy Machinery and establish new stars as tag team.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the result. I didn't. Of all the teams I wanted to see have the belts, New Day were the one I did not want to see coming out of here with the tag belts.
I mean, it was cool having that moment with Kofi, Biggie, and Xavier Woods having the tag titles together. Having all three championships together, making the New Day look like a really strong faction. So in that way, it was good. But yeah, it's not an anti-New Day thing. I love the New Day. I think they're fantastic. I've been against splitting them for a long time. I know there's quite a few fans that want to split them up. I don't like that idea at all. But yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity to really put heavy machinery over. I think Daniel Bryan eating another pin. Maybe it will lead to something on SmackDown. Didn't this past week. But, maybe it'll lead to some other storyline. But, yeah, it kind of wrong winner. And that's the only criticism I have. The match itself, brilliant fun.
Yeah, and on the flip side, what was the worst match on the show? Or almost disappointing, whichever way you want to read it.
I'm gonna exclude the Brock Lesnar cash-in, which we'll talk about in a minute, and Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler, because those serve their purposes. Yeah. There's 3 matches that were disappointing. The Raw Tag Team title match, the SmackDown Women's title handicap match, and I felt for me the United States Championship match between AJ Styles and Ricochet. But out of the 3, I'd have to probably pick the SmackDown Women's title match as being the most disappointing. It's a handicap match for a title. I don't know why WWE have been doing these for a while now. It's crap. The champion always wins. So it's crap, predictable. I wouldn't say crap. It was predictable, average. Really doesn't help either woman here. I think the only woman that looks good out of this is Bayley, and thank God she's facing Ember Moon for the title, because she can finally have that great match that she deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that this was a great match. This ended up being the last match I watched, because that's when I sort of got to the pay-per-view replay, was during the Braun match. So then when I went back last night and I sort of caught up, it was seeing Bayley v Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss was my main event. It's a strange one. Of the matches you mentioned, sorry, go ahead.
No heel turn as well from Alexa.
I'm wondering what they're doing. They've punted that for another time, haven't they? It's almost like they're gonna get to the place where we actually believe maybe Alexa is gonna go face, and maybe they're gonna finally drag it out that we actually think it might happen. Then she'll go heel again.
Yeah, I kind of want that Team Hell No dynamic. I mean, I don't think it suits Nikki Cross as a character.
I want crazy Nikki Cross back, and eventually this leads to that.
Everyone wants NXT Nikki Cross, but I think she does well considering the crap that she's been given. I think they're better off, especially with women's tag team division needs tag teams. I think if the storylines are done right, I think those two could really do well in that division. And I'm so pleased that Bayley won, relieved that Bayley won, because I want her to have a long championship reign.
Yeah, I think of all the matches you mentioned, of those 3, you picked that disappointing. The one that I don't know, I enjoyed it, but the least of it is definitely the most disappointing match of the whole show was AJ Styles versus Ricochet for the United States title. I was expecting something really special from these guys, and it was boring. It was generally AJ Styles beating down Ricochet, and they were trying to give Ricochet a few hope spots, but there was not the level of high flying you'd have wanted, and there was not this back and forward match. It was just a different type of match, which works when you're trying to establish a heel like AJ with the pre-match beatdown, but man, it was dull.
Yeah, great finish though. I think there was a few more spots than you remember that Ricochet pulled off, but I think people were expecting this cocky AJ Styles, when in actual fact this new AJ Styles is an aggressive AJ Styles, and I think it's trying to get away from, because he is getting older, so he's picking and choosing when he's doing these matches now. So I think it's getting across this new aggressive character, which works. I think what would have really helped is if he really worked. See, how I would have done it, if I can fantasy book for 1 second, is AJ Styles works over Ricochet's leg, and you would have him tap out to the calf crusher, or just technical knockout. Like Ricochet cannot stand anymore because, his leg's gone. But he doesn't tap out, and therefore you put Ricochet over strong and you put AJ Styles over strong. Something along those lines. I think the title change was a good idea, though.
And then the title change, I guess it makes sense. And you can imagine maybe they're going to go to this at SummerSlam and give us the big payoff match. Maybe that'll be the one we deserved.
Yeah.
That happened.
I hope so, and I think it will. I think they're building towards that, judging by Raw, and yeah, it makes sense if you want to put the club over as like a good, strong heel faction. An immediate win like this for Styles is beneficial.
Yeah, I get that. Moving on to another point, we didn't talk about it yet. Aleister Black versus Cesaro. Solid match, an amazing Black Mass kick at the end. And I was really happy to see Aleister Black actually wrestling and not cutting those awful, weird, bad acted, like cupboard promos he's been doing on SmackDown. Did you enjoy seeing Black do what he's good at?
Oh yeah, this is great fun. Uppercut Party, sorry, from Cesaro. Yeah, this is a good match. Not an outstanding match, which I think if they had a bit more time they could have really done, but they did tell a good story with Black working over Cesaro's leg. Yeah, that Black Mass is just phenomenal. Probably the best finisher in WWE, in my opinion.
Right,
and no rest holds.
Took it amazing. The way Cesaro took that was amazing.
Oh, his eyes glaze over. I mean, that was great selling. Both of these are really good at wrestling. There's no rest holds. Yeah, it was a very good reintroduction of Aleister Black. And also, it made Cesaro look kind of strong too.
Aleister Black gets some good matches now, similar to this. Just keep having him do what he did, because he's got all the good signature moments in for him, so that was cool. Do you want to talk about the two really quick matches as well? So Kevin Owens defeated Dolph Ziggler in 17 seconds, and Brock Lesnar defeated Seth Rollins in 13 seconds.
Let's save Brock to last. Kevin Owens, yeah, I don't care about Dolph Ziggler. I was happy it was over. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see the match. I just want to see Kevin Owens cut a promo. I got Kevin Owens cutting a promo. Kevin Owens is awesome. Can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah.
Hopefully a quick one and done feud with Shane McMahon, bury him, and then Easy E does something big with KO.
Yeah, this was a 13 match card, including the pre-show. Something had to go short. This seemed like a good choice.
Yeah, the best choice.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that he's going to actually get some momentum with the babyface, keep hitting stunners, and the crowd wants to cheer him after this weird back and forward after he first came back. It's good to see him being his weird little heel run. It seems like him and Sami Zayn aren't friends again. He's going to be a badass, every match. Cool to see. What about the Beast, Brock Lesnar, cashing in the bank? Was this the right call? Was this too early? And what title run?
Yeah, so you're breaking up a tiny bit, by the way. So Brock Lesnar, yes. I don't know really how I feel about this one. I always think he is a great Universal Champion. He is the top boss. There is no one quite like him, and he changes the presence in a room. And I love the fact that his matches are different to everyone else. And I think he brings an extra presence that no one has. But I kind of want to see Seth Rollins win it back at SummerSlam. I think the fans want to see that. And I think they want to see a clean Seth Rollins victory. So if it leads to a clean Seth Rollins victory that we didn't get at Mania at SummerSlam, then yeah, it's the right call. But until then, we don't know. And I think fans need to show an element of patience.
Yeah, I think that's what happens, because Seth held the belt for about 100 days, I think, and he's pretty much been in a feud with Baron Corbin the entire time. He's not had a chance to do a feud matches. One match with AJ Styles. And then it's been Corbin.
Weird enough, the Corbin stuff was actually better in terms of story than the AJ Styles one. Make of that what you will. What do you think of the main event itself?
The main event, I guess I kind of found it interesting that they were all over Lacey Evans on the entrance. That we've not seen that for a while, with the cameras all over her routine. That was strange. And then after that, Becky being hit by the end of days by Get Baron, and I think those are the two things that beginning and end, but really stood out to me thinking about it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was fine. It wasn't amazing. It was fine.
I enjoyed this match way more than I thought I would. Yeah, I think the Lacey's arse thing, let's be blunt about it, was more to highlight the fact that she has Seth written across her more than.
It didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize that until after that. I didn't realize Seth was written on there. It just didn't show up well on camera.
No, it didn't at all. because that was pointed out to me later down the line. It's like, oh, the reason why they did that is because Seth was cross her lady tights, and oh shit, cut that out. Sorry about that. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, I actually really enjoyed this match. Dave Meltzer gave it 3.25 stars, and I kind of agree. I thought this was actually way more fun than I expected. I really enjoyed the table spots. I think the fans were rubbish throughout the night, by the way, but that's just me. I think the table spots were fun. The simultaneous kendo stick from Becky and Seth to Baron and Lacey, I thought that was really good. Very, very Shaun the Dead-esque, but yeah, that end of days is the most amazing end of days I've ever seen, and I'm shocked. I am shocked. WWE had the balls for Baron Corbin to do that to Becky Lynch.
Yeah, you don't see much man-on-woman violence in WWE these days. I think we saw a bit of Nia Jax in the Rumble, but it's not much often they go there, and she sold it like a champ.
Oh, I mean, you couldn't love Becky anymore. Like, just doing that and just selling like an absolute boss. I mean, she's amazing. I think her and Seth, they really carried Corbin and Evans to a really good match here, and it is really good. I'm not gonna deny it. I was thoroughly entertained, and I think a lot of people were like, it's pants. What else do you want for Becky and Seth to do with these two individuals? They pulled out all the stops. I was impressed. Yeah.
I have a different view on this show. It's like I missed the first half, and I got there late because I've had busy. I've been tired. I just wanted to get a couple of beers and watch wrestling. And I think when I went back and watched the first half of the show, I enjoyed that more because you had the spectacle of the no holds barred match in it. Aleister Black and Cesaro, really enjoyable. And then I always enjoy seeing the revival. So I've maybe seen the first half of the show, and then the second half I might have enjoyed the second half more. Instead, I just came in and I was like, I'm not sure about this AJ match and some of the other, and Samoa Joe and Kofi.
Yeah,
it might be my personal situation. I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much as you.
Yeah, no, I mean, same. Like, I just wasn't in the mood on Monday, and on reflection, I was like, you know what? And I will say this: like, every wrestler on that night, even Shane McMahon, really put in 100% effort, and 110% effort, and it showed because there wasn't an out-and-out bad match on that card. There were some not so good ones, but there was not an out-and-out bad match. And by the way, I really do want to talk about the opener, just because it deserves a bit of credit. Undertaker, man, he had a good match. Shane McMahon had a good match. What the hell?
He struggled to get Shane up for the tombstone at the end. A bad balance, I guess. But other than that, it seemed to all come together pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's to blame for that one. Whether it's Taker. I've seen Taker fail with Roman Reigns before, so I'm not going to judge either dude. But apart from that, yeah, I love that spot where Drew McIntyre disappears over over Undertaker's shoulder, and then Roman Reigns comes out of nowhere with a spear. Best Roman spear of all time. I just got to say that I thought that was fantastic. Yeah, I thought this was a blast, especially the final third when Elias interfered, and then it just went all crazy. This is the right use of The Undertaker because it covered up his weaknesses. This is the right use of Shane McMahon because it covered up his weaknesses. And then you got two heavyweights that can carry a match like this in Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, both fantastic guys. 4 stars in my opinion.
So, what do you think from this? Undertaker versus Shane, or as has been rumoured, or do you reckon that's Undertaker back in his box for a bit?
Back in his box. I mean, there was no mention on Raw of The Undertaker because Drew McIntyre's facing Cedric Alexander, which is weird. And I think Shane McMahon's next feud is with Kevin Owens, and I think this is going to be a way to write Shane McMahon off as a heel for a while, and put Kevin Owens over.
See, I could see them deciding after Drew lost to Cedric on Raw, maybe there's I need to prove how big and bad I am, and I'm going to beat The Undertaker in a casket match at SummerSlam. And I've seen the rumours of a casket match with Undertaker and Drew at SummerSlam, but that feels like where they could actually make sense and go.
Yeah, I mean, my question is what's next for Roman?
Yeah, who knows at the moment? I don't know where he's on his car.
I've got a weird feeling he might face Elias. Because that's like the last person in the Shane McMahon vortex of mid-card evil. Or that or Baron Corbin. One of the mid-card vortexes of evil.
It makes sense he's transitioned to Baron Corbin, actually. It would make sense. Cool. I mean, let's wrap this up for this one because we need to make sure we've got time to talk a little bit about AEW. What's your overall rating for this show?
B plus. I think B plus is a very fair grade. I think it's a really good show.
Yeah, see, I'm just struggling with anything other than a C plus, really, just because like I say, it was solid, but nothing really amazed me like I was hoping. Do you want to give it an MVP?
Yeah, so I'm going to give my MVP to Becky Lynch just for taking that end of days. That's the only reason why. Taking that end of days was just, oh man, amazing. I love that. I absolutely love that moment.
Let's take a short break and then we can get your thoughts on AEW Fight for the Fallen.
Hey you, if you like the podcast, then remember to like the Holy Shoot Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Holy Shoot Pod. Do it now!
So the night before Brod got extreme, he also was watching AEW's Fight for the Fallen. Brod, I didn't get a chance to see this show, so I'm going to be asking you questions about it. So overall views.
I enjoy this show more than Fyter Fest or Double or Nothing. I think that's the best way to summarize it.
I can understand Fyter Fest, but Double or Nothing. Interesting. Explain.
So this show hasn't got the best reviews, and I think the reason why is because there wasn't a 5-star match on it. However, I just felt the wrestling was better across the board, except for one match which was bad, like bad. But apart from that, I thought the wrestling was good to great on the whole. I thought, you're finally understanding some of these characters a bit more, the way it's developed into All Out. I think there's a bit more storylines, so therefore, for me, I'm now a bit more invested. The problem with Double or Nothing for me is half these matches were just, this is exhibition. There was no build. None of it was a dream match. None of them were particularly dream matches. The main event was a rematch from a New Japan show, and they did it better in New Japan. So, like, Double or Nothing was good, but I didn't think it was mind-blowing like everyone else said it was. I thought it was a bit by comparison. And Fyter Fest I just thought was okay. But I really enjoyed Fight for the Fallen more than I thought. It probably helped that I didn't watch the pre-show. Apparently that wasn't very good. But I also really...
The pre-show was better than the last couple. It actually had a bit more sense and less complete gaga going on.
Yeah, I hope Britt Baker gets better soon. That's all I can say because I didn't watch it. I kind of wish I did just see the reaction between Sonny Kiss and Peter Avalon. Apparently the Librarians got booed out of the building. But I didn't watch the pre-show. I wasn't interested. There's only so much wrestling you can watch in 1 week, I'm afraid.
Well, on that, one of the criticisms I heard about was that the show was too long in total. I think, I don't know how many hours it ran in total, but it was something like, if you watched the beginning of the pre-show and the whole event, it was like nudging 5 hours, apparently, the whole total thing. So, that was one criticism I heard. And there was a couple of long matches as well in here, 20 minutes for the versus SEMA and 30 minutes for the Young Bucks Brotherhood. Did you feel like it was a long show, or did it fly by?
Well, I was having a few beers through this event, so I thought it flew by comparison. I had no problems with the length of the matches, to be honest, except for a couple of instances, but that's more to do with the fact of trying to put people over as strong, more than the actual length of time that each match took. But we can get more into that when we break down these matches a bit more.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, so what was the match of the night?
This is controversial because I know some people said this went on for too long, but for me it was the main event. The Young Bucks defeating Cody and Dustin Rhodes. I thought this is terrific. I love this match. I give this 4 3/4 stars. I think the storytelling on the whole was brilliant. I think Young Bucks, when they're restrained, are better wrestlers because of it. Because just because you're capable of doing something doesn't mean you should do it. I've always believed in the less is more mentality when it comes to wrestling, and that's why I sometimes think, Will Ospreay. When Will Ospreay is fantastic, this is why I think, Young Bucks. When Young Bucks are fantastic, you know? And this proved why the Young Bucks are fantastic to me. And this is the best Young Bucks match I've seen in a long time. And, I said, yeah. I enjoyed it. And the Meltzer driver finished the match.
I've heard this before because I do like the Young Bucks, but one of my criticisms is the amount of stuff they do, which should be the finisher, which isn't the finisher, and like just over and over using all these big flashy moves. Yeah. But I know that they can do well booked in terms of well booked good psychology matches. It sounds like this is more one of those where it actually had a bit more like old style to it rather than just trying to show what you can do.
Absolutely, and this is why I love that match, because it's new school wrestling with old school psychology, which, I mean, it has psychology, because I think some of these new wrestlers are guilty of not having it. But yeah, there's psychology, there's storytelling, there's selling. This match had everything as tick, 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 tick. People can complain about the length. I don't care. I think this was fantastic, and it was worth every second of my time. And I recommend this match. It's probably my favourite tag team match this year.
High praise, and it sounds like the Young Bucks are being set up for the all-out event to take on the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, in a ladder match. Yeah, I think this might suit both teams, actually, because I think I've already seen Pentagon and Phoenix do a TLC match with LAX, and that was really good. If you haven't watched that match at Impact Rebellion, if I remember correctly, go back and watch it. Great spot fest. These two teams are designed for spot fest. Ladders are designed for spot fest. I have no doubt that this match will entertain a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, anytime the Lucha Brothers are on TV, you know there's going to be something impressive. So that's going to be a great match for all that. So that was your best match. What was the worst match on the show?
Oh, Brandy Rose versus Ali.
Seemed like an obvious choice. I mean, I'm surprised that Awesome Kong showed up again. It felt like that was a one-off, but she's back again.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was a one-off because they had Awesome Kong merch. So I kind of assumed she was coming back at some point. But yeah, Kong versus Kong. Oh God, it's something I'm not excited for.
And
it's like
to give some context, Awesome Kong v Aya Kong rather than Kong facing herself. In case
yeah,
aware of that.
Yeah, I just don't care. I think 10 years ago that would have been fantastic, but it's 2019. There's younger talent to put over. Both women are past their prime, and yeah, but even with the Awesome Kong at ringside stuff, I think Brandy Rose versus Ali was just bad. I don't think Brandy Rose is a particularly good wrestler. I don't think Ali's a particularly good wrestler. They're better storytellers, but even so, I expected something better than this 10-minute snooze fest. And the spear at the end was just bloody awful, in my opinion. This was bad. I mean, Meltzer gave it 1.5, but I think if it was WWE, it'd be a half a star.
Maybe they should have cut the match time in half, and it might have been a bit better.
It would have been better if the match wasn't even on the card. 0 stars.
I
will say this about AEW: their women's division is quite poor at the moment, and that's a shame. I don't think it's booked badly and treated like a joke. But there you go.
So, what did you make of the triple threat tag team match? Because the Dark Order amused me because it's just like old school cartoonish heels. But I've also become quite a fan of Luchasaurus and his dinosaur as Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And also had Angelica and Jack Evans' match. Was this good?
Yeah, it was a pretty good match. Loads of spots. Yeah, I kind of feel the 3-way tag thing is a bit silly in terms of why can't it be a triple threat match and all tag team partners are on the outside. I've always felt that triple threat tag team matches are a bit weak sauce, except for the couple of ones they've done at takeovers. But apart from that, yeah, fantastic spots. I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus is something to get excited about because I think they're a really fun tag team. I think I know they're looking for a more sports-like presentation, but I think this would be over in any promotion. A boy and his pet dinosaur. I think it's just dumb, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think both guys are fantastic. I think they've got so much potential as a tag team, and I don't think they should go their own ways anytime soon. I think they really should just actually be a tag team permanently, and I think they need to be up, further up the card because I think both guys are fantastic.
Yeah, they won a team before. I think they kind of ended up just being grouped together just from like stuff since the pre-show, wasn't it? They can just become a team based on that, and yeah. I like Luchasaurus. I'm not a big fan of Jungle Boy, but I do like Luchasaurus.
I think he's young, and that's the best thing about people like him is they're young. They got a lot to learn, but I have no doubt he'll have the ability to learn it because he's got that quiet confidence about him.
And can you explain to me? I'm still trying to. Every time I see the stipulations of these matches, because this is the second one they've done where the winner gets to advance to All Out for an opportunity at a first round bye in the tag tournament. So they haven't got a first round bye, but they would go to All Out and get the opportunity to earn a bye into the tournament, which hasn't been announced or confirmed anyway yet.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think they wanted to set up the Dark Order versus oh god, who's the tag team that won in the pre-show?
The Best Friends.
Yeah, because I think that's what they've been setting up all this time. Because Dark Order appeared twice after the Best Friends match, so it kind of makes sense that they have that. And there's something on the line as well. I think they really want to put over the Dark Order. I don't get it, but that's just me.
I find them amusing. Given a push to in this company.
I think that I don't get it. I think they're rubbish in terms of an act. I think they're good wrestlers. But in terms of character work, it's confusing. Like, are you comedy? Are you serious? What are you? And I don't think AEW knows. I don't think these wrestler knows. Whoever's booking it doesn't know. And it shows. And it looks amateur hour. And that's why I don't like them. Not their in-ring work. Their in-ring work was pretty good in this match, I have to say. But yeah.
I also want to just touch on the 6-man tag match that they opened the main show with because it's got your boy MJF in it. So
it's my boy MJF.
MJF, Sammy Guerrero, and Sean Spears previously tied Dillinger. Team despite MJF coming to Cody's aid at the last show, but they did sort of explain that commentary as being forced together against Darby Allin, Jimmy Havoc, and Joey Janela. How did your boy get on?
My boy won. But yeah, I think this is a match to set up to really set Sean Spears as a new heel. His coming out with the American Nightmare style T-shirt, but it's Sean Spears merch is actually pretty fun to look at. They did tease MJF and Sean Spears fighting each other at points in the match. This was a really entertaining opener, definitely worth watching. I think the only downside is Darby Allin took the pin, which kind of, yeah, I don't get why he had to take the pin.
You get why? Because he had the match with Cody, right, but went to time. Yeah. Sean Spears wants to show he could beat him, and Cody couldn't. It seems like they're setting that match up for All Out.
That works. I just think you want to make Cody couldn't beat Darby Allin, so they would want to make Darby Allin strong, but then he loses to Sean Spears. Which I get makes Sean Spears look super strong, but at the expense of whatever Darby Allin's supposed to be. Darby Allin's supposed to be the guy that takes all the punishment. So in this situation, I'd had Havoc or Janela eat the pin instead. Probably Havoc, because I think there's more money in Janela. But that's just me.
I guess I understand that. I understand the booking logic, but I get your point as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like future down the line, and then you could really play off Sean Spears saying, I beat Darby Allin, and Cody be like, but you didn't pin him, you pin Jimmy Havoc or something like that. You know, you could really play on that. But yeah, that's just me. It's a fun opener, nothing really to write home about, but it's definitely worth watching if you want to check out any like AEW stuff. Definitely worth a watch.
And I have got an MJF themed present for you that I can hand over to you next time we see each other, if I've got it on me, which you're going to appreciate.
Ooh!
Yeah,
it's a Burberry scarf.
It's not a Burberry scarf. You'll see when we get a chance to actually meet up in person in the next week or so. So we've covered most of the card. I mean, anything else you wanted to mention about this show?
Yeah, I mean, the other 3 matches are worth talking about briefly. Let's start with Lucha Brothers SCU. That's a fun match. I don't remember too much about it, but the right team won. Finally, Lucha Brothers get a win. I hope Lucha Brothers beat the Jacksons. The Young Bucks. I don't know why I called them the Jacksons. That's weird.
Have they ever been called the Jacksons? They've always been the Young Bucks or something, right?
Yeah, I have no idea why I said that. It's mainly because I'm looking at the Fight for the Fallen card on Pro Fight DB, and it's Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson. Doesn't say tag team names. So I'm like, oh, the Jackson. No, wrong. That's definitely a really fun match. Definitely worth watching. Forget how fun SCU are. Shame Christopher Daniels got kicked out of ringside, but that's just me. So yeah, the other 2 matches I did really want to talk about, which is Adam Page defeating Kip Sabian and Kenny Omega defeating CIMA. These matches went on too long, but not because the matches itself were long to watch. There wasn't anything boring about them. It's just Adam Page is the number 1 contender. Surely you would want him having a quicker victory than that. And Kenny Omega is going to be one of your top guys. Surely you want a more dominant victory. Let's
talk about that a little bit. Adam Page went 19 minutes with Kip Sabian, which is not what you do if you're number 1 contender for the belt in theory. We did see around, during the show, we should also mention there was the appearance of a certain sexy beast.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about him last. But yeah.
19 minutes to beat Kip Sabian.
It is a really good match to watch, and I think it does help put Kip Sabian over, which I think they were actually interested in doing because they hadn't beat Sammy Guevara. I think they're really interested in tapping into the British market, and I think that's probably the reason why Kip Sabian won at Double or Nothing, the first ever singles match. I think that's the reason why Jimmy Havoc didn't eat the pin in the 6-man tag. So I think they really do want to tap into the British market, but yeah. I know Adam Page has got a knee injury in quotes, but yeah, this doesn't work in terms of what they actually need to do. It needed to be quicker. And same with Kenny Omega and CIMA. Like, Kenny Omega's facing Jon Moxley. If that match is less, then you're making Jon Moxley look weak, especially if Jon Moxley loses. Kenny Omega CIMA is a fantastic match, by the way. But yeah, again, you need to make Omega look more dominant.
I mean, Kenny Omega needed to get a win at least. At least he got the win. It would have been strange to have no wins going up against Moxley. So I guess it was the right decision, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's now 2-1 if you count the 6-man tag. But yeah. I really like both matches. I think both matches are really good. I think that's the fairest thing I can say. But yeah, it just doesn't work. Like, thinking about it, it doesn't really work. Like, trying to put guys over. It's almost as bad as 50-50 booking, in my opinion.
Fair enough. And do you want to talk about the sexy beast?
Yeah, his promo is overhyped, in my opinion. It was unscripted, but I just didn't really care for it too much.
What did Jericho actually say in his promo? Was there anything of substance?
No.
Or was it just, I deserve thanks?
Yeah, I deserve thanks. I'm going to beat up, look what I did to Adam Page's eye in a beat-down angle after his match with Kip Sabian, because, he used the Lucha mask yet again, or the Dark Order mask, I can't remember, but he used a mask again and hits the code breaker. Oh, what a surprise, Jericho did that. And then Jericho comes out, cuts a promo, and Adam Page comes out and it's a pull-apart brawl, and I'm thinking, it's so underwhelming. It's not boring, it's just underwhelming. It's a Jericho promo. Jericho can't go wrong with promos, but it wasn't great. I think that's the thing. And I think when you're trying to build for your first world title match, it doesn't feel like the main event. And I have the suspicion that the main event might be Omega versus Moxley.
That is the bigger draw when you think about it. It's unfortunate that's when you're trying to establish your title, but that's definitely the bigger draw on the show.
Yeah, I think it would almost been better having Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Jon Moxley triple threat, almost. Like Moxley being an asshole gets his way or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think it would have been better served not have Chris Jericho in the main event.
How did Jericho look? Did he look like just a hungover rock star? Or what was his vibe?
He's looking old now. Like, he's aged so much in the last 2 years. It's weird. I never really thought of him like being that old until this past year, and it was starting to show. But he's still like one of the coolest motherfuckers on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, oh my god, it's Chris Jericho. He's a really cool dude. So I don't really give a crap about what he looks like. He looks exactly the same as he did last month, the month before. But yeah.
Definitely after the short-haired Jericho for a while, and then it was like, no, he's just looking like this ragged old like rocker with the stringy hair, and I guess it ties into his changing his gimmick to be a brawler. But I wish he could go back now if he wanted to. Could he go back to old Jericho? Was that never happening?
I don't think that's happening. Like, Jericho always reinvents himself, so that's the beauty of Jericho, and that's what's made him one of the greatest of all time.
I mean, I'm definitely still a big fan of his. I'm still looking forward to see what he does next.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered the show. What's your overall rating for it, and did you have an MVP?
Yeah, I give the show a B. Yeah, it's not as good as Extreme Rules, but that's because there's less stories to tell, and I think the women's match devalues it, and I think it went too long, but not because it felt long. Just a couple of matches could have been cut down. But yeah, B on the whole. And
pretty good.
And my MVP. Oh, this is a tough one. Usually I would joke and say my boy MJF, but not really. I'm going to give it to another person in that match, actually, who I really enjoyed watching, and that's Shawn Spears. I think he looked strong that match.
He's definitely doing well now. He seems like the shackles are off.
Yeah, but there's so many guys that were on the same level on that show. Like, there wasn't any one standout individual, in my opinion. But yeah, I really like Shawn Spears' character work in this match.
Cool. Fair enough. I'll have to abstain from views to understand it, because as we discussed earlier, I actually chose to watch the Evolve show on the network and give that a go. So Sam and I talked about that in detail earlier.
Ooh. So, what grade did you give it? Because I haven't listened to.
I didn't. Well, yeah, you want to jump into that? Yeah. Well, I didn't really give it a grade. It was more talking about how strange it was to see what it's like an independent show on the network, and we chose not to give it a grade because it was more of a discussion about, what does this mean, and who are the stand performers. We took a different angle on it. If I was to try and grade it, to go back and grade it now, it's probably a sort of B- type show for what it would, but that's put it in context for the fact that it was very much a sub NXT indie show.
Sub NXT indie show. Wow. Okay. You made me really want to watch it.
Oh, there was one or two matches. Like, when you go back and you get to hear the first half of the show, Sam and I did. You'll see there's definitely a couple of things worth going and checking out overall.
Yeah. What matches are those? Just for me. Sorry, listeners.
It was the match that was happening between one of the guys from NXT. His name is what was that? It was Ruas. I want to try to pronounce his name correctly. It was Arturo Ruas versus Ann Henry. It was a grudge match, which is more like an MMA fight in a wrestling ring, and that stood out to me. I'd recommend seeing that because, as we just talked about, it's Extreme Rules and Fight for the Fallen. Neither of those shows had a match on it like this one.
Oh, well, I'll definitely check that out.
So, we've covered a lot today in terms of 4 very different shows: WWE, Evolve, AEW. There's been a lot going on here.
Yeah.
G1 updates from Sam. So, there's a lot going on. Hopefully, it calms down a bit.
Yeah, I might check out some G1 this weekend, finally, just because I have a bit of time.
This weekend you got Moxley and Ishii is happening this Friday, so
oh wow,
that's the one to go for.
Yeah, is that would that be Saturday morning over here, or
I think
would that
it's
be
Friday morning here, so you're gonna have to sort of watch it at work.
I'll watch it when I get home. But yeah, oh man, I'm pumped for that match. Jason can't really explain, neither can I, but I'm smiling from ear to ear right now. Like, oh my god, that match, dream match.
They're both undefeated so far in the tournament as well. They're both, especially Ishii's a bit of a surprise, so someone's got to give in that match.
Yeah, Moxie will win.
Yeah, I don't know. Sam thinks that Ishii might be going all the way, so we shall see. Bro, do you want to do your usual wrap up?
Yeah, why not? So, thank you for joining us on today's show. Myself, Jason, Sam, and hopefully Channel Chris. We don't know really what's happened to them, but hopefully they'll come back. So join us again next week where we'll be talking more about the world of professional wrestling. But remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Holy Shoot Pod, follow us on Instagram at Holy Shoot Wrestling, subscribe to our podcast, give it 5 stars or a like wherever possible, and that is the bottom line, because this pod said so.
Never look back, no, never say die.